In this episode of Valvehouse, we're going to be going ahead and installing a timing belt and water pump kit on this 2006 Honda Legend. So today we're going to be working on this 2006 Honda Legend KB1, which is fitted with the J35 V6. So what you're about to hear is a problem that's very common with these V6s, and today we're going to fix it. The video doesn't capture it very well, but I'll grab a video in which you can hear it better. So starting off on this side of the motor, what we're going to go ahead and do now is remove all this plastic trim around in the engine. So we're going to be getting the timing side of the engine, so we're going to go ahead and take this plastic off and then we can get access to the cover. Now once we have this cover off here, we can go ahead and start removing things that are going to be in our way. Now I wasn't going to remove this front trim here, but considering it's just right there, I'm going to go ahead and remove it because it looks like a bunch of these clips are just hanging off anyway. So let's remove this trim and then see how we go. So now I've removed all these covers here, we have a lot more access and we can start pulling things apart and get them out of the way of our timing belt. Once we've started moving some of the stuff out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and now lift the car off the ground so we can get a better view from the timing side on the bottom of the engine. We'll have to remove the wheel for that too. Once the car is off the ground and it is securely sitting on some jack stands, now we can go ahead and remove this front wheel here so we can get access to the timing bolt. For whatever reason, the wheel nuts on this Honda Legend KB1 are actually 22mm instead of the usual 19, so keep that in mind and don't make the same mistake I did where I had to walk back to my toolbox twice. Alright, got a different socket on. Let's give it another go. So, of course, I did not get it on video, but my trusty Ryobi Impact, this has got to be the greatest tool I have in my collection. My trusty Ryobi Impact with my little Milwaukee socket has managed to pull off the crank bolt. So now we can continue, we can go ahead and remove this and go further behind the cover. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is see this little tensioner down here with the 14mm bolt. What we're going to do is we're going to get this 14mm bolt and we're going to try and undo it. We're not actually undoing the bolt, what we're doing is going to pull the tensioner back, and this is going to allow this whole belt to come off as one, and then we can have more room and access to what's behind the belt, aka the timing covers. Alright, so now I've popped this belt off, I can go ahead and try and untangle it from all the parts that it goes around, and then we can pull the belt out. There we go, and the belt comes out as one big piece. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start pulling off this timing cover here. Oh, as you can see, this little pouch is just hanging off, but well, so there's a bunch of 10mm the whole way around. I don't exactly know how many, but it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I assume there's one down there, so 5 possibly, but I'll let you know how many there is once I pull it off. So already we can see here, looks like it's got a bit of belt material there or something, dirt. We can see here on this belt, look at that play. Look at that, that is insane amounts of play. You can literally slide the belt off if you wanted to. Looks like the tensioner to me. And now on this timing cover as well, as I mentioned, there is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then oh, I don't think that one has any. So there's only 5. There's 5 bolts. So I'm already struggling for room. So what I'm going to go and do is just remove this engine mount bracket here so we have a bit more room because I'm already struggling and I know it's going to be a problem. So let's go ahead and remove that. All right, so here's where I'm at. So I'm at the top still. I've undone that one and I've undone the one that's like a little bit down there. Oh, it's not going to focus. Sorry, there we go. In the hole down there, I've done that one there. Undone that one. And it looks like a few of them I'm already missing. So Whoever did this timing belt last obviously couldn't be bothered to put them back in, which I'm not complaining about because making my life easier. But the last one is like right, get that light there. It's like right down the back, and I've actually had a look underneath here, and it looks like it's going to be, I don't know if I can get it on camera there, but it looks like it's going to be 100 times easier to grab that bolt from underneath. Then I should be able to pull this upper cover off on the back too. So now if I pull this wiring harness out slowly, go, pull that out. Now there's a couple of things we need to be careful of here. So we need to be careful of this little Woodruff key, that little thing there. See if I can zoom in. So we'll leave this key in for the moment because I can't get it out, and we'll go ahead and now start removing the lower timing cover. So there's the 2 bolts here. So there's 1 and 2. Let me get you a better shot here. So I've got one there, then I have one over here, and then I'll get some more angles of the other ones. Alright, so I just spent way too long trying to take this upper timing case, the bottom timing case off, sorry, and there's this one bolt that's tucked behind the alternator. I've dropped the alternator forward so I can get this one freaking bolt out. One bolt causes a world of trouble. So now I should be able to take this timing cover off, if I'm correct, and then we'll have a lot more room to play around. So before we proceed any further, what we're going to go ahead and do is remove the serpentine belt tensioner. So we're just going to undo this bottom one, which I've already cracked loose here, which is a 12mm, and then we've got a 14mm on the actual bottom tensioner itself. Undo that, and then this piece should come off. Alright, so now we got a better view under here. I'm going to go ahead and take this little key off. Now take note, it's got little marks on it. So let's just slide that off there, and you can see the Woodruff key slot in the top there, and remember which orientation it goes, so you can see it's kind of curving across this edge, so we'll just leave it face down like that. And then also, do not, whatever you do, lose this little key. Alright, so I've just gone ahead and zapped in the crank pulley bolt back in, and that's going to allow us to rotate the motor by this 19mm here, and we're going to be able to rotate it to top dead center. Then we can go ahead and remove the belt. Alright, so I've removed this the driver's side post mount here. So now I'm just going to go ahead and remove this bracket, and then we'll actually be able to see the water pump because currently this bracket is bolted to the water pump. Alright, so I've just rotated the engine around until my little, let me zoom in, the little tiny arrow is pointing up towards the other arrow. And then it's the same on the top here. They're lined up. I can't really show you the back one, but the back one is lined up as well. So as long as they're all lined up, then we can go ahead and remove the tensioner. Look at that movement with just only a little bit of force. So as you can see, I pulled the actual tensioner idler off itself. And as you can see, this is what it does on the engine. So when it's tensioned, it goes like that, obviously. You need to make sure you do not lose this inside piece. So when you remove the bolt, there's a little sleeve inside here, which will slide at the back. And we're going to be reusing that in our new tensioner. So do not lose that piece. I'm going to leave it in here for the moment. But yeah, that comes out as one piece. Alright, so here's the new water pump here. So what I'm going to do is just get my finger in and just grab a bit of coolant off the engine head. And then I'm just going to run my finger around here. Lubricate up the seal a little bit before we go ahead and install it on the motor. Just so everything goes nice and smoothly. We don't have any binding or tearing of the seal, which is not what we want. So we're going to need this little bit of lubrication. And then I can go ahead and stick our new water pump on the engine. Alright, so now it's time to replace this little idler bearing here. So I left the bolt in to know which way it goes. So the one with the thicker flat-faced surface goes on the engine itself, and then the recessed side will face towards you. So I'm just going to take the bolt out of the old one, slot in the new one, chuck this one in the bin. Alright, so I've got the belt sitting on now. So what you want to do is sit it on the crank pulley first, and then you want to bring it up around this first idler pulley. Slide that back a little bit. And then you want to run it around this right crank pulley. Cam pulley. And then you want to run it down around the water pump. Then up to the next pulley here. And then you want to run it down to the tensioner. As you can see, we still got the pin in. run it around the tensioner, and obviously back down. So I just sit the bottom part on first and then run it around as a circle. And then now that it is ready, and I know it's all sitting properly, I can go ahead and pull this pin out. That was a lot harder than it looks. Pliers were needed. Pliers were needed. But in good news, the belt is now tensioned. So now we're going to spin the motor around a few times and make sure these timing lines are still lined up once it rotates around. Alright, so don't make the same mistake I did. Put this engine mount bracket on first. That's the first part. Then you can put your lower timing case on. And then when that's on, I'm going to go ahead and now remove the crank bolt down here. Remove the crank bolt, put the pulley back on. And then we can go ahead and chuck the upper covers back on. And then we're pretty much getting there. Then I can chuck, I think, we'll probably go to the accessory belt next, actually. Oh, no, the tensioner, the belt tensioner, then the belt. And then I'll check in. Alright, so as you can see, I've put the accessory belt on, bolted up all the lines. I've got this little alternator bracket back on. Everything's on, ready to start. So we're going to give it a crank now and see how it goes. No more loud, obnoxious rattling. Back to normal and ready to drive and hit VTEC. Now we can go ahead and get all the plastic covers, put all the plastic covers back on so you can let everyone know you have VTEC. I've chucked all the covers back on. It's out in the sunlight now. I have the battery cover off at the moment and the terminals off as I'm trying to clear a separate issue, which is the pop-up bonnet code, which is notorious for these legends. But that will be a separate issue, and for now, I'm calling this Honda Legend done. Thanks for watching this episode of Valve House. Stay tuned on the channel for upcoming projects like this one I'm about to start working on.